important reminder. All information and ideas are for informational purposes only and are in no way intended as medical advice or as a substitute for medical counseling. Earthshift Products, Dr. Robert Cassar, all of their partners, affiliates, and subsidiaries will not be held accountable for the use or misuse of the information presented therein. This information is not intended as medical advice. The authors, publishers, and speakers of this work are not medical doctors and do not recommend the use of mineral-deficient foods, drugs, or medicines to achieve beauty and to alleviate health challenges. Because there is always some risk involved, all persons involved with the development and distribution of this information are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences of any kind resulting from the use or misuse of any suggestions or procedures described on our website or Earthshift Live radio talk show or therein.
3 minerals. So if I eat for 3 or 4 generations, anybody heard of the Pottinger study? Okay. Look up this study. If you have a pencil and paper, look it up. Pottinger study. Dr. Pottinger did an experiment on cats, 4 generations. Fed one set of cats cooked food, cooked meat, and cooked milk, and the other ones, raw meat and raw milk. And each generation, those, you can call them offspring, and the raw group didn't change a bit, because it's a non-perverted source of enzymes. It's basically what you're doing is when you cook things, what you're doing is you're killing the food. So if we're just a battery, if you only eat foods that are dead, then what happens to you? You get these parasites, because when you have a dirty kitchen, you get cockroaches, don't you? Okay, if you want to clean up the body, what do? You quit feeding the cockroaches. Yeast, mold, and fungus only live in our bodies because we're eating dead food. You were saying, how do I get rid of the yeast, mold, and fungus? First thing I would do is stop all wheat, all corn, and all soy. Okay? Why is that? All wheat, corn, and soy has been perverted because of genetic modification again. You ever heard of an herbicide called glufosinate? This is all hidden on the internet. Glufosinate is an herbicide that's spliced. Let's say this is a piece of wheat, corn, and soy. Scientists cut this like you can do an avocado, and you can splice plants with plants. How about you can splice genes with genes and splice in an herbicide in the plant? So when the plant grows, this is part of their sales pitch, you as a farmer now doesn't have to spend any money on pesticides, because why? It's going to grow in the plant instead of putting all the minerals besides M, P, and K in the soil. And once you put NPK in the soil anyways, if it's made from a commercial system, usually crude oil, you kill the very delicate bacteria in the soil. We don't even have one food from the United States here. Okay? Most of our food, the only thing that comes from the United States is this blue-green algae from Klamath Lake. It's the only thing. It comes from a pristine source up in the Klamath Lake, underground springs. This is what it looks like after I've grown it for a day and a half. And you can see when I put it down here, it's purple. It's a prism. So if you wanted to really terrain modify yourself, you start to drink about 2 of these a day. You can see, watch all the hydrogen on the top of this thing. I drink 2 of these a day. These are proven to clean up the intestinal tract. We start going through the pyramid again. Most people live in the standard American diet. Like I said, they're waking up going to the healthier foods. The healthier food people are going to organic food. The organic food people are eating now superfoods. What are superfoods? They're highly nutrient-dense, heirloom-styled foods. And if they're real superfoods, they're not in packages that would be discompensational to them. The superfood people are getting smarter. Remember, they're going to heirloom, because you're finding out that the food source, you're just trying to get back to what you used to have about 200 years ago. Heirloom food people are going to living foods. Okay? Sprouted seeds, things that actually have life to them. The living foods are now, people are going, chocolate getting stuck, they're going to nutritional medicinal foods, and that's that chocolate that you're eating right now. It's nutritional and medicinal because it actually has a nutritional side of it and also has a medicinal side. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, because if I tell you it's medicine, then that's not good, because it would be a pharmacological. Yes?
Have you heard of remineralizing the soil with rock dust?
Sure.
Like the home gardeners?
Oh yeah. Yeah, rock dust is one of the things, you know, once we use, see, a lot of the lectures I'm sort of skipping around right now a little bit just to throw a few things in, and then we're going to get more specific here. Once you pervert the soil, the delicate bacteria die, and they don't come back until you re-establish a flora back into the soil. And you'll notice that even if you go to Hawaii, Hawaii has a lot of plants that are yellow. Why would they be yellow? They have a big volcano there called Kilauea. And this big volcano kicks out sulfuric acid big time. So when you live in the city, acid rain, same thing. That's why they use low sulfur diesel, low sulfur, because they want to have as least amount of acid rain or pollution that comes from a lot of these types of either natural sources or man-made sources. Because once it gets into our water supply, this is one of the things we'll go over. Corrosive acids are one of the reasons being why we lose all our minerals in our soil and lose all our minerals in our bodies. What are some of the corrosive acids? We just named one, sulfuric acid. That's battery acid. Okay? You know, you can run through the best machine, through all the filters, and sulfuric acid will not come out of the water through filters, through reverse osmosis. Remember, it's a gas, liquid. It needs to be neutralized. So I tell everybody on the Big Island, because they catch their own water, they catch their water in the rain. The rain all has acid rain in it, and you wonder why when you go to Hawaii, most of the people you see there are very sick looking. They're demineralized. They're walking around very stiff. They can't stretch. You'd think that 40 and 50-year-old people over there would be very vibrant, but they're not. Why? They've lost their minerals. You look at all the plants over there, and you'll see most of the plants are yellow. Like you look at the palm trees around here, a lot of them, and you'll see the palm trees are yellow. And once you give them a little bit of fertilizer, because there's not any microbes in the ground to break down the minerals that are macro size, so the plants can actually break them up. So we're the same way. Once we destroy our gut bacteria, we're sick. So the biggest detriment, forget about GMO and all those things, is corrosive acids. Let's just name a few of them. Number one is sulfuric acid. So anytime I make water, I take a quarter teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate, aluminum free, and I put it in half a gallon of water, and I neutralize the acid. Whatever's in there, I neutralize it immediately. If you don't, your body has to neutralize it. Calcium is the #1 ion in your body. It's 3.6% of your body. So if you lose all your minerals, then you get sick. You can't regenerate. So why do people get old? Or why do people age? It's because we lose our minerals. We lose our minerals, we lose our conductivity, and our conductivity, which is energy, makes it so our cells can't reproduce and holograph themselves in a more perfect hologram. You know, if we have 75 minus millivolts in our cells will regenerate almost perfectly. And once we lose our DC current, not alternating current, but DC current is direct current, and that's a natural current. Alternating current is all the electricity that's running on this. This thing's bugging me too. I get next to electricity, it buzzes me all over the place. Now, the couple of corrosive acids, sulfuric acid. Easy way to get rid of that, because all bottled water most likely has a small amount of sulfuric acid. I don't care where they get the water from. Unless it's from an underground spring, most likely it's got sulfuric acid in it. So you put a small amount of sodium bicarbonate. I had some up here before. You can go to the store and get Red Mill, aluminum free. Make sure you get aluminum free sodium bicarbonate. Put a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon per gallon, and that immediately takes out any sulfuric acid or acid that's in the water. If not, like I said, when you drink it, your body will have to figure it out. And it will go ahead and eat up the calcium, the first thing that's in there. Number 2, you ever heard of acetic acid? It's all over your pantry. Where's acetic acid? Red wine vinegar. You ever read it? It says acetic acid, 5% acidity rate. Acetic acid, anybody ever had kidney stones in here? You know how you got it? Acetic acid. Okay? What does it do? It steals calcium from your bones. It takes it out and it actually cements the calcium in a form called an oxalate. You ever heard of oxalate poisoning? Oxalate poisoning is one of the #1 diseases that we see on the planet. Brain sand, you know what that is? Oxalate poisoning, where you get all your arteries in your brain start to turn calcified. Gallstones, kidney stones, those are calcium oxalate problems. Arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis, calcium oxalate problems. All the tissues that are sore when you push on them, calcium oxalate. This is why I have this up here. This is what most likely everybody's got inside their thighs, inside their kidneys, and this isn't natural. This is a coral, and these are little miniature coral reefs that grow inside our body from these acids. Sulfuric acid, and if you go to the Big Island, you'll see people walking around like this, stiff, and they're only 50 years old. Acetic acid. Where does acetic acid come from? It comes from cooking vinegar. So what you want to have is malic acid, which is raw apple cider vinegar, and that is your big friend. But cooked vinegar is going to destroy your internal self. You'll get a bunch of this. And then what I use, once I get myself soft by using a lot of different, this has got a spring inside here. I put a few socks on this. I learned some of these techniques from Glenn Calkins. I don't know if anybody knows Glenn. Glenn's a good researcher. Remember, he's an experimenter, and we're all trying to learn a little more. So this is a big spring you can see. And what do I do with this spring? Well, I have 2 socks on here, because if you just put 1 sock, it means you've been doing this for a while. 2 socks, and what I do is I break up these crystals in my body. Okay? But before you think you can break up these crystals, because if I do this to anybody, you'll wind up getting bruises from top to bottom, because you have to soften the crystals first before you think you're going to break them. Because this crystal, if it's sitting in my tissue, if I push on the tissue, this crystal is hard as this coral, and it will cut my tissue. And the bruising that you get is because this cut your tissue. And so now you just make more of this. You can't get healthy until you actually see some of the ideas. See, once you get calcified inside your body, what do? You have to soften up and get rid of some of this stuff to make it so when I pound this, this will go ahead and just smash down and bend because it's soft. If not, right now, all these little pieces of calcium break, and what do you think they do? They get hard again, better than they were before.